We begin with updates from the Israel-Hamas war. Israel says its military is battling its way into the heart of Khan Younis, the main city in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. Videos released by the Israeli military show what it says is action from the ground and aerial offensive in Gaza. The air rumbled with constant explosions and thick plumes of white smoke rose over Khan Younis. The city shelters hundreds of thousands of civilians who fled from the north of Gaza. As the fighting rages, Hamas has warned that no hostages will leave Gaza alive unless its demands for prisoner releases are met. A senior Hamas official had earlier said they were ready to release all soldiers in exchange for all Palestinian prisoners. Israel says there are still 137 hostages in Gaza, while there are about 7,000 Palestinians in Israeli jails. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called on Hamas to lay down their arms and surrender immediately. In an address, Netanyahu reiterated that the war was the beginning of the end of Hamas. Netanyahu also rebuffed international calls to end the Gaza war, describing the demands as inconsistent with supporting the aim of eliminating Hamas. Qatar's Prime Minister said, though efforts are continuing to secure a Gaza ceasefire and free more hostages, the window for mediation was rapidly narrowing. Addressing the Doha Forum, Qatar's Prime Minister blamed the ongoing Israeli bombardment for the failing diplomatic efforts. European Union foreign ministers are considering the possible next steps in response to the Israel-Hamas war. The European Union is considering a crackdown on Hamas's finances and travel bans for Israeli settlers responsible for violence in the West Bank. The ongoing war has exposed long-running and deep divisions on the Israel-Palestine conflict among EU members. On to other top stories now. Iran has begun the trial of a Swedish national employed by the European Union who is charged with spying for Israel and corruption on earth, a crime that carries the death penalty. Swedish national Johan Floridas was detained in April 2022 while on holiday in Iran. Stockholm says Tehran did not say what he was charged with. Ukraine says its forces shot down 8 Russian missiles headed for the capital Kyiv this morning. The Ukrainian military says the missile fragments fell in an eastern district of Kyiv, injuring 4 people. Ukraine accuses Russia of preparing a campaign of strikes on the country's energy infrastructure in the middle of winter, as it did last year. US President Joe Biden will host his Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House. The meeting comes as discussions on a Ukraine aid deal remain stalled in the US Congress. Zelensky will also speak at an all-senators meeting led by Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Republican leader Mitch McConnell. The visit will be Zelensky's third since the war in Ukraine began. The United States called out China for interfering in the Philippines' maritime operations. Washington accused Beijing of undermining regional stability and is urging it to stop its dangerous and destabilizing conduct in the South China Sea. The Philippines and China are in the midst of a worsening standoff after a ramming incident near the disputed Second Thomas Shoal area of the South China Sea. The UK government says it's creating an enforcement unit to increase its power to crack down on companies evading Russian sanctions. The British Office of Trade Sanctions Implementation, or the OTSI, will be responsible for enforcement of trade sanctions, investigating potential breaches, and issuing penalties. A Patriots-only district election in Hong Kong saw a record-low voter turnout of 27.5%. Many voters spurned what was being seen as an undemocratic poll. The Patriots-only poll barred opposition Democrats from the ballot sheet. The sharp slide in turnout comes after Beijing imposed a sweeping national security law that has been used to clamp down on dissent in Hong Kong. Dilapidated boats carrying an estimated 400 ethnic Rohingya arrived in Indonesia's Aceh province. The region has been witnessing a surging Rohingya influx. Myanmar's Muslim minority is fleeing to Indonesia amid persecution. The refugees are also witnessing a pushback from locals in the Aceh province. Indonesia's president said he suspects human trafficking is behind the recent escalation in boat arrivals. Australia says it'll tighten visa rules for international students and low-skilled workers, and that could halve its migrant intake over the next 2 years. The Albanese government is looking to overhaul what it says was a broken migration system. Under new policies, international students would need to secure higher ratings in English tests, and there would be more scrutiny on a student's second visa application that could prolong their stay. Argentine libertarian economist Javier Milei was sworn in as president as the South American nation seeks a radical fix for the worst economic crisis in decades and inflation that is rapidly heading towards 200%. Milei said the road to rebuild the country has begun and that his predecessors had left Argentina without funds and on a path to hyperinflation. In climate news, the COP28 President Sultan Al Jaber urges countries to be flexible and embrace compromise for a climate change deal. While addressing journalists, he emphasized on the need for discussions on the future of fossil fuels. Al Jaber discouraged prepared statements and prescribed positions pushing for solutions. He stresses that watering down the ambition of the deal and failure are not acceptable options. Island nations at the COP28 Climate Summit are demanding a stronger commitment to fossil fuel phase-out and renewable energy. The Marshall Islands Minister of Foreign Affairs, John Silk, stressed the need for an outcome. Silk said, and I quote, "We will not go silently to our watery grave." Scientists emphasized the necessity of halving the world's fossil fuel emissions by 2030 to limit the global temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Climate experts call technical climate innovations a distraction from the issue of phasing out fossil fuels. The COP28 Climate Summit saw various technological fixes for worsening global heating and ecological breakdowns. These solutions include ideas like machines to pull carbon out of the air and using artificial intelligence to track emissions. Lobbyists are raising concerns that these technologies might be seen as a new business opportunity rather than a climate solution. According to attendees, the crucial issue at COP28 remains the phase-out of fossil fuels. The last negotiating text reveals various options that countries are considering to achieve it. One of the most agreed-upon options is a phase-out of fossil fuels in line with the best available science. Some are considering abating fossil fuel, which involves expensive carbon-capturing methods. The summit is set to conclude on the 12th of December. A group of Italian environmentalists dyed Italy's Venice Grand Canal green. They were protesting against the perceived insufficient progress at the COP28 Climate Summit. They hung a banner at a bridge which stated that while the governments talk, we are hanging by a thread. Similar protests turned small stretches of rivers and canals in Italian cities green. Severe storms and tornadoes have hit the American state of Tennessee. Over 6 people have been reported dead and at least 50 are injured. More than 35,000 people are struggling to get access to electricity. Emergency crews are working diligently to clear debris and restore power in hard-hit areas. In business news, according to reports, an investor group consisting of Ark House Management and Brigade Capital has made a $5.8 billion offer to take department store chain Macy's. Ark House Management, a real estate-focused investment firm, and Brigade Capital Management submitted a proposal to acquire Macy's stock they don't already own for $21 a share. The group already has a big stake in Macy's. Boeing is expected to name company veteran Stephanie Pope as its chief operating officer, setting her up as the likely successor to chief executive David Calhoun. Pope, who currently heads Boeing Global Services, is likely to remain in the top job at least one more year. Automotive supplier Bosch says it needs to cut up to 1,500 jobs at two of its German sites by 2025 to adapt staffing levels to changing demand and technologies in the auto sector. Bosch said it was trying to achieve this via moving staff to other departments, early retirement or voluntary redundancy agreements. The group is in talks with the Works Council over specifics. French artificial intelligence startup Mistral AI announced it had raised $414 million, becoming one of Europe's two AI leaders. Founded in May by industry heavyweights, Mistral had already raised €105 million in June. Among European AI firms, only Germany's Aleph Alpha has brought in as much funding. China's consumer prices fell the fastest in 3 years in November, while factory gate deflation deepened further. This indicates a rising deflationary pressure as weak domestic demand casts doubt over China's economic recovery. The consumer price index dropped 0.5% from a year earlier compared with October. TikTok announced a $1.5 billion investment in GoTo, in a deal that would allow the Chinese-owned short video app to restart its online shop in Indonesia. In September, Indonesia banned sales on social media to protect small businesses that were losing out to e-commerce giants. This also forced TikTok to close its online shopping business in October. It is now set to resume business in Indonesia, one of TikTok's largest e-commerce markets. NVIDIA is looking to establish a base in Vietnam to develop the country's semiconductor industry. In his first visit to the Southeast Asian country, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said the company viewed Vietnam as its home and affirmed its plans to set up a center in the country. Electric vehicle battery startup Our Next Energy or One said that Paul Humphreys will be its new CEO effective immediately. Humphreys replaces Mujib Ijaz, who held the post since he founded the company. Ijaz will serve as vice chairman of the board and take on the role of chief tech officer. The Michigan-based company cut around 25% of its workforce last month, citing market conditions. Elon Musk has restored the X account of conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. This was after a poll on the social media platform formerly known as Twitter that came out in favor of InfoWars host Alex Jones, who repeatedly called the 2012 Sandy Hook school shooting a hoax. Musk's move poses a new uncertainty for advertisers who have abandoned X over concerns of hate speech. Fresh reports have surfaced that allege manipulative and double-crossing behavior by Sam Altman as reasons for his abrupt removal from the OpenAI board 2 weeks ago. Though Altman returned as CEO soon after his ouster, circumstances leading to the dramatic events remain shrouded in mystery. Sources say Altman even lied to the board and attempted to get a board member ousted. In sports news, we begin with cricket. India beat England by 5 wickets in the third Women's T20 International. 3-wicket hauls from Saika Ishaq and Shriyanka Patil, followed by a good knock from Smriti Mandhana, led India to a win. However, England clinched the series 2-1. Pakistan beat India by 8 wickets in the Under-19 Asia Cup clash in Dubai. India put 260 on the board. A classy ton by Azan Awais made Pakistan's run to the total an easy one. Tight bowling pace attack by Pakistan kept India at bay with a 4-wicket haul by Pakistan's Mohammad Zishan. Girona reclaimed top spot in La Liga after beating champions Barcelona 4-2. This was a second defeat of the season for Xavi Hernandez's side. Girona took the front in the 12th minute. Barcelona equalized 7 minutes later. Gutierrez restored Girona's lead before half-time, and Fernandez made it 3-1 in the 80th minute. Barcelona pulled another goal, but Girona scored their 4th in stoppage time. At the Premier League, Tottenham won for the first time in 6 matches as the Spurs routed Newcastle 4-1 with a double from Richarlison. Udogie and Son Heung-min also scored for the side that had been squandering for momentum since topping the Premier League after beating Crystal Palace on October 27th. Tottenham had lost 4 of their next 5 games and had a blistering start to the season. Manchester City is back on track, ending their 4-game winless run. The Premier League champions survived a scare from Luton and won 2-1 on Sunday. Grealish bagged the winner, giving his team a much-needed win. Adebayo scored the first goal in the first half. Erling Haaland was absent due to injury. Everton bag a 3rd consecutive league victory, with second-half goals earning a 2-0 victory over Chelsea at Goodison Park. The win was the second home victory for Everton in just 4 days. Things went from bad to worse for Pochettino and Chelsea, as the visiting side were unable to come up with a suitable response. Manchester United's future in the Champions League season hangs by a thread ahead of Bayern Munich's visit to Old Trafford. An early exit in Europe puts more scrutiny on manager Erik ten Hag. United's troubled campaign reached a new low after the latest 3-0 defeat at home to Bournemouth. The Red Devils sit 6th in the Premier League after 7 defeats in their opening 16 games. While there may be time to recover a place in the top 4 domestically, their need in the Champions League is urgent. The Los Angeles Lakers beat Indiana Pacers 123-109 in the in-season tournament championship game of the NBA Cup. Anthony Davis recorded 41 points, 20 rebounds and 5 assists. Austin Reeves scored 28 points off the bench, and LeBron James added 24 points and 11 rebounds for the Lakers. James was named the in-season tournament MVP. After 12 hours of back-and-forth battles, Mercedes-AMG Gruppen Racing came out on top in the Gulf 12 Hours at Abu Dhabi's Yas Marina circuit. The 99 Mercedes-AMG GT3 car started in pole position and was driven to victory by Mauro Engel, Luca Stolz and Michael Grenier. It was the 3rd time a Mercedes crossed first in 13 editions of the event. Irishman Daniel Wiffen won his 3rd gold medal at the European Short Course Swimming Championships, breaking the world record in the 800-meter freestyle, which had stood for 15 years. Wiffen eclipsed Australian Grant Hackett's mark set in 2008 by almost 3 seconds. Moving to entertainment news, South Korean boy band BTS have become the most viewed male act on TikTok for 2023. The South Korean powerhouse maintains its global influence even during a temporary group hiatus due to military enlistments. Along with BTS, the South Korean girl band Blackpink is also among the global favorites. The list also has names like Mexico's Kim Loaiza and Selena Gomez. Singer Ariana Grande has officially signed a new management consulting firm, Good World Management. This move follows her departure from longtime manager Scooter Braun 4 months ago. Grande's new firm has been associated with artists like Demi Lovato, Bruno Mars and Lizzo. Death rumors of rapper Eminem spread like wildfire on social media. It was after a false death date was being displayed on Google searches. The misinformation originated from an edited Wikipedia page. Outraged fans expressed frustration and disbelief on social media, condemning the act of spreading false information. Singer Selena Gomez has admitted to having had a cosmetic procedure. She clapped back at a troll saying that her cheek implants are messing with her brain. She addressed the comment on Instagram with a witty response by writing that she has gotten a Botox treatment. Actor Jada Pinkett revealed that Will Smith's Oscar slap incident saved their marriage. She calls it a holy slap now because of a lot of positive things came after it. The actress shares that the slap prompted a realization of her commitment to Smith. She said, and I quote, "It took that slap for me to see I will never leave him." Game of Thrones fame actor Sophie Turner is in a steady relationship with aristocrat Peregrine John Dickinson Pearson. According to reports, she is really happy with him. Turner confirmed her relationship a few days ago after being spotted with Pearson in London. Sophie Turner and Joe Jonas filed for a divorce in September this year. Actor Mark Ruffalo admits in an interview that he found the script of Poor Things daunting. The actor wasn't sure if he could pull off the physical comedy required for his character. He says that his co-actor Willem Dafoe helped him find his footing. Ruffalo admits to being initially apprehensive about the role, but ultimately found his rhythm during rehearsals. Poor Things is a 2023 black comedy fantasy film. Actor Julia Stiles revisited an iconic scene from the American teen romantic film 10 Things I Hate About You. She recreated the scene at a book festival in New York City. The actor who portrayed Kat Stratford in the 1999 film emotionally recited the love poem written for Heath Ledger's character. The performance paid tribute to Ledger, who passed away in 2008 at the age of 28. Singer Bryan Adams, in an interview, reflected on his deep friendship with the late Princess Diana. He revealed that their unexpected bond formed after Adams released the song Diana, linked to the princess's marriage in 1981. Their connection grew with conversations initiated by Adam mentioning the song to Diana during a chance encounter on a flight. Adams fondly remembered Diana as an amazing woman. Floral tributes adorned the Hollywood Walk of Fame star of actor Ryan O'Neal following his death's announcement on 8th December. His son took to Instagram to post an emotional tribute for his father. O'Neal's legacy includes successes like Oscar-nominated roles in Love Story, What's Up Doc, and Paper Moon.